international students for international students. We provide no collateral and no consignor loan because we believe that any student who's bright and hardworking should have the opportunity to study abroad and succeed in their academic and professional goals.
Because whenever we've picturized international education, we've thought of, okay, I have to mortgage my house, or I have to borrow so much money from friends and family with like very strong interest rates. Our system has been designed in such a way that we look forward to the strongest potential of the candidate. No collateral, no cosigner. Even if you have unsecured loans, you still require cosigners, but in our case, you do not.
Typically, when a bank gives a loan to a student, they want to make sure they get back the loan. And they go through a process that is called underwriting. The underwriting look at several aspects of the borrower to ensure that they select the borrower that are more likely to repay back the loan.
Not because we are the only one who reports to all the 3 credit bureaus in the US.
Did you know that the cost of studying abroad has skyrocketed in the last 1 decade? Like in China, an international student pays 5 times more than what a domestic student pays. Similarly, in the US also, where international students struggles with the high tuition fees, living expenses, obviously an added burden of proving the financial stability for their visa application. Millions of students fly to study abroad over the years. Why? Because obviously global education gives you better career opportunities, higher salaries, and obviously a world of experiences. But the bigger question is that how can you fund your education in the world where the loan process is very tough? It comes with a lot of collaterals and co-signers. That's exactly why we bring you today's podcast. I am Shatakshi Singh, and in today's podcast, we are going to talk about the loan process in the international education. And for that, to discuss that, we have two very special guests with us today from MPower Financing. First up, we have Clement Ekpor, Global Head of Partnerships from MPower Financing. Welcome, Clement. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Next up, we have Soham Ghosh with us, India Head of Partnerships at MPower Financing. Welcome, Soham. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So with these two experts, we are going to understand in brief that how exactly is the loan process works and how it's going to help the students, the international students who are planning to study abroad. Starting my very first question from Clement. Clement, what is the idea behind MPower Financing and how it helps international students?
Thank you. Great question. So MPower Financing has been founded by international students for international students. We provide no collateral and no consignor loan because we believe that any student who's bright and hardworking should have the opportunity to study abroad and succeed in their academic and professional goals. We believe in the potential of students, and this is why we have started 10 years ago, and we're very happy to be here and to make sure that no one is prevented to study abroad because of finance issues.
Definitely. Great. So now my next question is from you, Soham. The idea behind MPower, as I've heard, and there's what you guys promise is that you guys offer loan without collaterals and without co-signers. How does that work for you guys?
So great question. So the no collateral, no cosigner offering, it opens up the market, because whenever we've picturized international education, we've thought of, okay, I have to mortgage my house, or I have to borrow so much money from friends and family with like very strong interest rates, or even if I have to borrow money, I need to have a credit score, and I can't have a credit score without a debt. So it's like a chicken and egg problem. So this was limiting the scope of international education for many markets, many customer segments, especially in India, like from the tier 2 towns, from the tier 3 towns. And we know like land, houses are essential for us. And people have much concerns about it. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to keep it open. We do not want to burden your parents with any additional cosigners. At the same time, we do not want you to have the fear, oh, you're going to lose your house if you do not have a job or if you're not able to repay. So these fears we wanted to assuage. So because of that, we have opened up the market, and this is how it works. This is the offering. So we ensure that we do not ask about any collateral, or we do not require any co-borrower or co-guarantor with any sort of criteria. So this is what has opened up. So that a lot of our customer segments are from cities, from tier 2, tier 3 towns. And yeah, we just want to make it more accessible for all.
All right. So a question came in my mind, like after you answered this, that okay, I understand that this is the benefit for the student. How is it working for you guys? Definitely a question arises that creates a level of authenticity as well. How is it working for you guys if you're not asking for collaterals or cosigners?
Got it. Great question here. So we need to look at, so there are two aspects here. One is when you give a loan, you look at like the financial, I think, assets and also the co-borrower potential, and then you make an estimate. Our assessment is on the forward looking, the individual rather than what they have been or where they come from. So if you are a strong, high potential candidate with good chance in a great university, having a great degree in potential, we are betting on your potential basically here. And because of that, what we've seen is over the 10 years that we've been operating, we've had very low cases of like any sort of delinquencies, or if there are failures, if that you want to call it. And because our system has been designed in such a way that we look forward to the strongest potential of the candidate. And that is how we operate. We do not really look for whether you have like a past CIBIL score. I mean, if you do, fair, great. If you do not, still not an issue. So that is how we have been operating. And it's like a 10, 11 years of underwriting and data is there to establish that, yes, this model works. And I know it is not much heard of, no collateral, no cosigner. Even if you have unsecured loans, you still require cosigners. But in our case, you do not.
That is the great aspect, because this is the burden in a lot of people's mind, that a collateral can be very harmful for them in the near future or things like that. All right, since you said this thing, this is my question to Clement, that is there any criteria that a student has to fulfill to get the loan from MPower?
There are no specific criteria. We really want to democratize access to studying abroad. Our goal is to everybody stands a chance and to fulfill both the academic goals, the professional goals, and to be successful in life. Obviously, we look at specific students in particular. So those students who get accepted in specific program are more likely to get a loan from us. We focus particularly on STEM programs and MBA programs. So students who go computer science, who go and study engineering, are typically the students who have higher chances to get a loan from us, because for us, we know they'll be successful. We know that those fields are the areas that require a lot of manpower in the US and across the world. And therefore, those students studying in these fields are the most likely to get a loan from us.
So can we say that it's a little bit course specific? Is it so?
We open to all students I mentioned, but there is a strong preference for STEM students.
A little bit inclination, I can say, right?
A strong inclination, as a matter of fact, towards the STEM and MBA program. We also focus on nursing, which is a very promising field. So those are the areas where there are more chances for people to get a loan from us. But I would say as well to be having a good career in the future.
It's more easier for the students, like with STEM backgrounds and STEM courses, right? All right. So, Mike, this question is from you, Soham. Since you are heading India partnerships, what challenges do students face, especially in India, in terms of loans and these things?
Great question. And I think this is something that when we talk internally and externally, also this is something a lot of people have in mind. So the first area of concern that students have is whenever they go for talks with lenders or with any banking professionals, they get like I think a 10-page explanation on the loan, the terms, and after a while it just bounces off your head. That is the first and foremost I think problem, because they're not able to understand which loan is the best. How do you compare? How do you make it simple to compare? I think that simplicity is something which is missing, because let's face it, like this is something how well versed students are, how well the parents are with financial. I mean, it becomes slightly difficult. So the foremost problem that's out there. Second, the hidden costs that a lot of lenders bring in. Like, okay, this is your interest rate, but what is the hidden cost? What is the forex? What is the insurance charges? I mean, it's not at all like democratized, right? So this is something that also students are not able to understand, because it might be a footnote in the contract, right?
And there's a lot of confusion regarding that also. I was, about to ask this to you as well, that that is there any hidden charges? Because yes, you said it right. There are a lot of hidden charges that students are not aware of because everybody is not so much aware of the finances exactly. So are there any sort of hidden charge or any extra charge which is required for the loan?
From MPower?
From MPower, yeah.
No, so there is no hidden charges. We give an APR percentage, and APR percentage is like there is nothing further extra that is there. And how does it compare? So, for example, one clarity for everyone is interest and APR are not the same. APR is the total cost of the loan, which our agreements have it specifically written. There is no other year-on-year costs. But for a lot of lenders, what happens is there is an interest rate, but a lot of things we don't understand is there is also forex remittance charge, which is 2 to 3% of loan value. Then there's the insurance charge, which is 2 to 6% of loan value. And then apart from that, you have GST on these aspects. So cumulatively, you might take an X percentage interest rate, but overall your APR shoots up by 6% extra above the X percent. This hidden cost, this is just the depth of the iceberg is not known. So, yeah.
So I am, a bit clear in my mind that what exactly is going to be the benefit with the students. But still, I'll put up a very straight question to you. And both of you can answer this question, that how MPower financing is different from the traditional method of loan that the other banks used to give. This is a very straight question, but I want you guys to answer this because it will be very beneficial for the students who are watching our podcast.
So I can maybe give it a stab, and I think
Sure.
Soham can continue. But typically, when a bank gives a loan to a student, they want to make sure they get back the loan. And they go through a process that is called underwriting. The underwriting look at several aspects of the borrower to ensure that they select the borrower that are more likely to repay back the loan. And most of the banks, if not more, all of the banks, are looking at past information. They look at what is your credit score. They look at how much, what are your profile, what job you have, and all criteria that are based on the past. What MPower does is MPower looks at the future. We look at the future potential of a student. Instead of looking at who they are, what their parents have done, we look at only the student and the potential they have based on the course they're going to study and the university they're going to do. So our underwriting process really look at all the future potential earning of a student to make a decision on giving a loan or not. Of course, credit scores still matter. It's still part of our criteria to study, but ultimately we look at forward-looking criteria rather than past criteria. And I think this is a big difference between traditional banks and MPower.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Soham, do you want to add on something to this?
One other thing is ours is a 100% digital process. Like there is absolutely no paperwork for you to sign or any branch manager that you have to go to and show your laptop and transfer funds, none of that. It's a complete seamless process, a seamless experience for the student. It takes barely 15 to 20 minutes to fill in the application and you get a conditional offer or a loan approval letter or a decision, like even a rejection decision in the next 2 to 3 business days. So we want to make it as seamless as possible. And similarly, at the same time, we also disburse in USD. So this is completely like a complete experience. We want to ensure the students have a good experience. There is no hassle. There's no back and forth that they have to keep on doing, right? So that's also one other. Another thing I would like to add is an MPower loan, given it's like a US entity loan. So this also helps a lot in tax benefits in the US. So for example, there are two things like tax benefits and employer repayment support program. So a lot of, it also helps build a credit score in the US when it's there. So there are 2-3 benefits that are there that actually help a student out in the long run when they are staying in the US for some time. So yeah.
Suppose I am a student. I want to understand the process exactly, that what exactly is the process of getting a loan approved from MPower financing, and how much time does it take, and what a student has to go through, while taking loan help from MPower financing. So what is the process like? You can explain with the time slot as well, like how much time does it take?
Okay, well, it's very fast. First of all, as Soham has mentioned, it's a full digital experience. So student go on the website, submit his application there. The first step for a student is to check the eligibility, and it takes barely 30 seconds on the website. filling up the basic information, which school they apply to, which program they're going to pursue, and within 30 seconds there is an answer on whether the student is eligible or not. Then a 30 minutes maximum application process on through. So the student provide all his information, name, first name, all the address, and all the details regarding his plan of studies, which takes 20 to 30 minutes to submit the application. And after that, it takes 2 or 3 days to receive a conditional offer. So after the eligibility check, which takes only 30 seconds, the second step is filling up the application, which takes 20 to 30 minutes maximum. The student will fulfill all the basic information and more complete information about his plan of studying, where all the information regarding his work so far, his academics in the past, and what are the plans that he will have with his further studies. After this 30 minutes application, you can receive immediately a conditional offer in most of the cases. In some cases, the conditional offer is not yet available, but most of the cases, if the student fulfills eligibility, will receive a conditional offer for the loan to be potentially approved. And then, within 2 or 3 business days, the student will receive a final offer, which is a confirmed offer for getting his loan if all the submissions have been satisfying. In some cases, additional information are required, which will take a little bit more time. But essentially, within 3 business days, a student can have a complete loan offer, which I think is making a big difference in terms of speed and flexibility.
All right. Since we're talking about loan, another very important and basic factor is repayment, right? How does that work in MPower, and does the student get any flexibility in terms of repaying the loan? And here, I want to understand one more factor, that we have heard about repaying in dollars as well, or in the country's currency in which they're studying. How does that work?
In case of repayment, so our repayment tenure is 10 years after graduation, and the graduation plus moratorium, which is basically 2 years plus 6 months grace period. And after that, there is a 10-year repayment period starts. And if you foreclose, no issue, there's no pre-penalties that are in place. One extra thing that we do is which kind of sets us apart, and I'll tell you how, is that during the 30-month period, which is 2 years plus 6 months, we ask the student to pay a simple interest on the amount that is disbursed. So for example, it's not on the full amount that's approved, but on the amount that's disbursed just before the SEM starts. So what it essentially does is it helps the student build credit history. And credit history is very important in the US because as soon as you graduate, even when you're looking for apartments, everybody checks your credit history. Even employment, people check your credit history. Even any car loan, any credit cards, it is very important to build that out. So by the time you graduate with our product, it gets built out because we are the only one who reports to all the 3 credit bureaus in the US. So that is the thing that we do. So simple interest payment during the 30 months, and then like the normal repayment of 10 years after graduation. And essentially it also helps is the interest is not capitalized, because ultimately what happens is with other lenders is there is no payment, and then all of the interest gets added to the bill. So it's a huge ballooning payment at the end of the tenure for the student. And that is what makes us like very different. It might be students might think that, okay, how am I going to pay? So one thing is like, for sure, there are a lot of jobs that you can get on campus. Second is, even if you have slight difficulties, MPower looks at case-by-case basis also and helps the student out if there is any sort of issues that they're facing. But yeah, it helps build in a discipline of payments for sure. So this is the type of payment that we offer, repayment.
I was even about to ask this question, that what if a student faces a struggle after graduation? Are there any support program for the student?
Yeah, there is. I mean, case-to-case basis, I mean, the cases are reviewed, and our team also makes like certain exceptions wherever required. And also, ultimately, there are different programs in place within the company. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
So, MPower also provides career development courses for students. How does that work?
Got it. So, I'll just maybe add a bit of context here. So, we have this added program called Path to Success program, which is available free of cost for any student who borrows from us. It has 3 essential components. One is visa support, second is career support, and the third is also financial support. With visa support, they get a free visa sanction letter, which has like extreme value because it helps you get your visas as well. And also there is like visa prep and interviews that you can take with some of our added partners as well, and it's free of cost. In terms of career support, what it helps is like we give like portal internship and F1 like job portals for F1 like visa issuance holders. So that is essential. We have also offerings of AI resume builders that help students with resumes and for these career fairs that happen. And at the same time, we also help with like different sort of events that are there. I mean, we don't directly do the events, but it's like any all the borrowers get access to different news and events that are happening. So yeah, these are some of the different ways of this entire Path to Success program, which is completely complementary.
That's great. So my next question is from you, Clement. MPower caters the student globally. How do you ensure that the loan process is tailored as per different regions and locations? Since you are handling it globally, that's why this question is from you.
So the first thing is that we provide loan all over the world. So we're one of the rare companies that has over 180 nationalities of student borrowers, which is a great pride of us. We've been able to help students all over the world. And we try to make sure that everybody gets a fair chance. So we look at the process of application agnostically. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what you've done before. We look at the process of application for all students. Then, of course, different circumstances apply to different countries. And Soham has mentioned visa preparation. We try to make sure that every student has tailored support to help them to succeed. We want to make sure that students succeed all across the journey to prepare for the studies and also around the studies. And therefore, some of our support is really tailored toward making sure that the students have all the tools to be successful in the application as well as the visa application that is often a hurdle for many students.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Since now, I'll ask the same question and you guys have to answer like on India perspective and you'll give the global perspective. What piece of advice do you want to give to the students who are, in a lot of hassle and thinking about the loan and, they do not think that that international education is accessible for them even? The major factor why? Because the finances are not in, they're not proper. So what piece of advice do you want to give to the Indian students from Indian perspective? And then Clement will answer the global perspective.
So in terms of from the Indian perspective, so two things. One is if it's a student who's definitely like has a lot of a lot of promise and potential, but they are being anyway like prevented because of any financial means or because of any lack of backing from any sources, like they do not have to fear. MPower is definitely here to definitely help them in the journey, and we have done this over the past. And second thing is also that we would want to state is that actually I just can't go back. Two things. Yeah. First thing is definitely like, of course, in this case that if there's students that are promising and a lot of potential and no financial means, no worries. There is MPower is here to help them out in the entire journey, like start from the loan sanctioning and till the and even like in the visa support, career support. So overall holistic support is there. Yeah. Second thing is if you are thinking that, okay, like there's a lot of hassle involved in the application process and it might take them a lot of time, you do not have to worry because again, our process is tailor-made for the student and because we take in the students' pain points and comfort always in our entire company discussion. Ultimately, it's all about the student and empowering everyone in their journey in socioeconomic growth for us.
All right. Now, Clement, you can give the global perspective about this.
So I think Soham has given a great answer that's really applicable all over the world. But I'll take a step back and I want to quote Nelson Mandela, who said that education is hope, and really the hope to better the life and to open new opportunities. I am an international student, and I can say confidently that's a life-changing experience. I would say that, of course, it can be daunting. There are challenges ahead, but those are small challenges when you compare to the opportunities that are open. And financing gets started. We, MPower, are here to make sure that no student misses the opportunity to enhance their career and their life really through education. And my message really is that it's an opportunity not to be missed, even though it can be seem challenging. there are many opportunities, and clearly MPower is here to make sure that financing is not one of the issues on the way. So good luck with your goals, and I wish you all the best.
All right. So guys, we have covered a lot of topics in this podcast, and this took us to the end of this podcast. It was a great session with both of you guys. And one thing which I found very interesting is that MPower is not asking for collaterals and e-signers, and on the other hand, the process is very seamless and hassle-free, which is, I think, a great support for a student who is planning to study abroad. So that's a great initiative, I would say. And the idea, I think, that MPower carries is making this education more accessible to the students, like making the international education very much accessible to the international students, and that aligns with the idea of AcadFly too, to make it accessible for everyone. Like there's no boundary, there's no financial barriers as well. Everyone can study in abroad. It's just that they should have the idea about that, and they should know the process behind it. Thank you so much for watching us, and thank you Clement, and thank you Soham for joining us today. It was a great session with you guys. Anything else that you want to share in terms of MPower or the loan process, you can share with us. A small tip, something which you can give to the students.
I think one thing that I can share is, so this is from our social impact report which we release annually. Okay. One thing we found out, and we do a lot of like these surveys with our students, our borrowers or alum who've graduated and doing pretty well in life now. What we've noticed is there is a 15x growth in their household income before their education and after their education, and they are supporting families of 4 or 5 or 6 back in home. And their 15x is their growth in household income back home. So MPower not only helps the study destination economy, but also the home of origin from the other country. So yeah.
I think that's great. Clement, do you want to say something at the end of this podcast that our audience can carry back from this podcast?
Yes, sure. So first of all, thank you very much for having us, and it was a great session, and I hope that all of those who are listening to the podcast learn a lot of information. I just want to say that, again, studying abroad is a very, very fulfilling experience. It has an impact personally, professionally, and it brings back a lot also to the rest of the family, as Soham has mentioned. And I encourage everybody to look at options and to look at how Physics-Walla and AcadFly can be part of it. And we, MPower, are very happy to be here and support as well wherever needed.
Definitely. Obviously, it's great for us also to have you guys here. And thank you so much. And for the audience too, thank you so much for watching us.